What's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, a very rare Jay Cutler physique update. So this was taken from a chic photo shoot that Jay just did. Keep in mind, Jay's 49 years old. We haven't seen much of his physique lately, but I'm pretty impressed with how good Jay looks here. He hasn't competed since 2013, which is pretty crazy to think about the fact that we haven't seen him on stage in almost a decade. I can still remember, I was in college at that 2013 Mr. Olympia. I can remember watching that in my buddy's dorm room, and I can remember Jay Cutler coming out on stage for that Olympia, and it's crazy to think that that's already been almost 10 years ago. I still remember what we were drinking. We were drinking Red's Apple Ale. But it's been that long since we've seen Jay compete. He's had some injuries. The bicep one was a pretty big deal. But I think, honestly, he looks really good here. And I know that he went on record on his podcast as saying before he's 50, he wants to get in the best shape of his life. And I think he meant in terms of conditioning, not in terms of size. But I think Jay is a really good example in a lot of different ways of what life can look like for bodybuilders post-retirement. Not only the fact that he's still maintaining a really good physique. Obviously, he's tremendously downsized from the competitive Jay that was 260 plus on stage, like 300 pounds in the offseason. Obviously, he's no longer that Jay Cutler, but he still looks fantastic. And I think he's around, 225 or something like that. So he's a lot lighter, but he still looks great. And then you look at the fact that in addition to maintaining this physique, he travels everywhere. He goes to like every expo. He does every meet and greet, every fan interaction type of thing that he can possibly do. And on top of that, he runs his business, his supplement company. He does the podcast. He's still doing things like this promotional photo shoot for Chic, which I believe is wrist wraps and like lifting straps and belts and stuff like that. But the big thing that this makes me wonder is they did announce that they were bringing back the Masters Mr. Olympia in 2023, at which point Jay would then be 50 years old. Assuming that the Masters Mr. Olympia is for 50 plus, Jay would be in that age bracket. So I kind of wonder if that talk about him getting in the best shape of his life for 50 and him looking like this now, I mean, he's still got his legs still look pretty crazy. His abs look crazy. Could we see Jay on stage again for the first time? That would be exactly a decade too. The timing of that would be cool, considering the fact 2013 was his last Olympia. If he came back a full decade later in 2023 and did the Masters, how cool would that be? And let's be real, how many IFBB pros right now are over 50 and look anything like what Jay looks? He would probably win the thing. So that's kind of just this little conspiracy theory that I've got in the back of my head, something that I would like to see happen. Jay compete one last time. Not as a mass monster, Jay, but this physique right here, if he stayed kind of a much lighter version of himself and still competed in a healthier way, obviously, I think he could still look pretty impressive against a group of guys that are in the 50-plus category. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys ever think we'll see Jay Cutler back on the Olympia stage in the form of the 2023 Masters Mr. Olympia? Now, next up in the news, let's talk about a guy that's 3 weeks out. So he goes GoodVito, Vitaly Ugonikov. We've talked a lot about him lately. He goes on record on his Instagram to officially announce the competition that he's doing, which will be in Brazil, where he's currently living. He's from Russia, living in Brazil. Now, this competition will be November 3rd through the 5th. And if I understand his post correctly, I believe he's saying that this is not a pro qualifier. This is a regional qualifier that if he wins this, he then gets to go to the competition, which is on November 23rd. And that would be the competition that would be the pro qualifier, aka that would be where he gets his pro card. So in 3 weeks, on November 3rd through the 5th, whichever day the competition actually is, according to this post, I don't think that's going to be the pro card attempt. That's just going to be kind of similar to Michael Krizo. That will be kind of his warm-up show. And then from there on November 23rd, he'll be able to attempt to get his pro card, which just kind of as I theorize, that's going to be too late for him. Even if he earns his pro card, he's not going to have time at that point then to qualify for the Olympia. That's going to be past the cutoff. So even if he does turn pro before the end of the year, we probably won't see him on the Olympia stage. But that's kind of what things are looking like. And by the way, he looks insane here. And I think it's going to be similar to Michael Krizo in the sense that he probably doesn't bring 100% to this regional show. He's probably going to blow through that lineup to get to the pro qualifier. Then he'll probably bring a fully peaked version of himself for that pro qualifier to earn the pro card. So it's probably going to be a very similar situation to what we saw with Michael Krizo. So in 3 weeks or so, don't expect to see a world beater version of GoodVito. But based on what we're seeing from him, I think he looks pretty good at this point. Now, next up in the news, I also want to talk briefly about Michael Krizo because he said something in the caption of one of his recent posts. And by the way, he is now I believe 2 weeks out at this point, exactly 2 weeks out at this point. And he posted his most recent physique update, says time to bring the wow factor. And that makes me think he watched the videos that I did about the Mr. Olympia amateur that he won to get his pro card. Because my main criticism of him there was that he looked good, but he didn't look great. And I specifically said I don't feel like he brought the wow factor. He looked freaky big, but he didn't look conditioned. He didn't look peaked. He could have looked better. He didn't bring the wow factor. He says that in 2 weeks, he will be bringing just that. And I think in this update, he does look pretty good. He looks very vascular. He looks very dry. And again, he's still got 2 weeks to dry out even more. And he had, I think, about a month in between that Olympia amateur and the show that he's doing at the end of October, the Prague Pro. And I don't know any other big name pros that are doing the Prague Pro yet. So make sure you guys stay tuned, because when we get that competitor list, I'm assuming we're going to get that next week. I'm going to post that on here, and we'll see who Michael Krizo will be competing against for that Olympia qualification, because that is his goal, to peak for that show and get to the Olympia by winning that show. But if you have some big names jumping in that show, that could be difficult for him. And one guy that is in really good shape right now, Brett Wilkin, we've seen quite a few physique updates from him lately. And I believe right now he's 4 weeks out from the Romania Pro. He's working with Matt Jansen. And I think he looks very impressive. I think he looks improved from how we saw him look going into the Arnold Classic of this year, earlier this year, March of 2022. He's already going to be overseas somewhat in that area. Romania and Prague are kind of in that same region. And he looks great in these pictures. He looks about how Michael Krizo looks conditioning wise. I would like to see him jump in that Romania, or in that Prague lineup rather, and go against Michael Krizo, kind of like Blessing Awodabu suggested. I think that would be interesting, because I don't really want to see Michael Krizo get another easy win, to be completely honest. I want to see him really struggle. I want to see him have some competition, because like I said, he blew through that Olympia amateur lineup. It was no competition for him. I want to see him in a lineup of good pros, not just like C or D list pros that nobody's ever heard of doing the Prague show. I want to see like a couple of big names that really would give Michael Krizo a run for his money, and see how he looks next to those guys. I really don't want to see him qualify for the Olympia by essentially beating nobody good. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below. Now, the final story that I have for you guys today, I want to give Iain Valliere some props, because some of the recent updates that we've seen from him at 9 weeks out from the Olympia, he looks pretty freaky. I got to be completely honest. He's had some pretty good updates in this kind of infrared sauna, this sauna room update. It looks like he found a brand new kind of goon light in this one, because he looks absolutely insane here. This video, the theme of this has kind of been freaky mass monster. We talked about Krizo, talked about GoodVito, we talked about Jay Cutler, who was a mass monster of his era. Iain Valliere, kind of a mass monster in his own right. And I think he looks really impressive from the updates that we've seen. And again, his goal this year is going to be to improve from 7th place, where he placed the previous 2 years. And we've got so many new names in the Olympia lineup this year. I think that's going to be a difficult task for him. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys think he can move up from his 7th placing last year based on how he's looking here, or do you think he will move down? Let me know down below. That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did in fact enjoy it. Make sure you leave a like, a thumbs up on the video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe for more bodybuilding content just like this. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.
Dancing in the good light, everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Dancing in the good light, everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody's dancing